people who are joining from Middle East. It's really great to meet you all over this webinar. Uh, so before I start the presentation, I just wanted to put a story into a perspective. Assuming I am an agent, I'm a I'm an life insurance agent working for an insurance company. I see that things have changed a lot in the last few years. I can see my insurance company is going online, digital, and selling directly. And I can see bank assurance partnerships which is being formed by my insurance company, and they are tapping into the bank's database. And I can see there are a lot of insurtech companies which are coming into picture, and they aggregators and comparators, all these people are coming into picture, and they are also taking a chunk of my pie. And moreover, this COVID-19 and economic lockdown and this slowdown of the economy and not able to go out and meet prospects face to face. My whole business is getting upset. Actually, it's getting down. So what I need to do it, how I need to differentiate. If I am an agent, if you really see the overall comparing with other channels of distribution, the one area where I can clearly differentiate myself is providing the real good customer service, trying to understand the customer's need precisely and providing a good customer service, good customer experience, and also looking at the customer's need over a period of time, not the customer's need at a specific point of time. So I can be as a partner for my customers on an ongoing basis. So if I'm able to do that, I should be able to differentiate. But I need to overcome this situation. I need to reskill myself. I need to readapt myself and be competitive so that I don't lose to other aspects, other distributions actually. So this is the context of this agent now. So let's see how we can help this agent overcome this particular period of downturn which is happening now. So how we can help him during this period, how we can help this agent reskill and reinvent themselves and adapt to this new world. So I'll put the agenda into 4 parts. First is we will look at the challenges faced by the agents. And then the second aspect is how insurers should respond to those challenges. The second part we will see. Because I see that it is a responsibility of the insurers to closely look at their agency force, look at the pain points and help them out. And the third one is once the insurers support and respond, agents should also adapt and reinvent themselves. So what agents should do to adapt and reinvent. And finally, we will look at how we agents can assist in the overall, if there is any requirement from your side. Before we start the challenges of agents, first let's look at this very good quote from Einstein. In the midst of every crisis lies a great opportunity. So the world has seen enough crises. In the last 100 years itself, there are so many crises world has seen. The world has seen a world wars, world has seen the Spanish flu pandemic. So it has overcome. The world has seen and it has overcome. So similarly, it may be something new to us as a generation. This pandemic can be new to us as a generation. But if we are resilient and if we take the right steps at this point of time, we should be able to overcome this particular situation sooner, and we will be able to come out much stronger to build a better future for ourselves. So that is the key thing. So we look at the challenges faced by the agents. I put on summarized it into 6 points. Starting in an incremental way. So first is the reduced leads. If you look at a typical agents are actually social people. They're extroverts, social people. They like to go out. They like to meet new people. They like to interact. They like to converse. They like to be in parties. They like to be in coffee shops. Okay, so these are the areas they will hang out. They will find build relationships. And then try to get references and leads from there. So with all the lockdown and not easy to move around, challenges faced, so that there is a reduction in leads. So they are not able to get enough leads for them to go and prospect. Even if they get leads, they have challenges to go out and meet the customers because every country has got a lockdown and there is no free movement, and people are also apprehensive to get any new person to come and meet them. So they can't do face to face. So which comes to the next point or next challenge, which is they have to shift their approach of sales. From a face-to-face approach, they need to shift to a video conferencing and telephone calls and digital approaches. So, which is a substantial change for a typical agent who is very comfortable to go and meet the customer and then break the ice by doing some chit chat and then slowly get the trust of the customer and then allow the customer to open up by asking some good probing questions and then identify the needs of the customer and match the product, show the illustration, show the proposal, that means show the proposals and other things, get the sign off, get the payment, and then walk off. So this is the typical agent who is very comfortable face to face, and he makes people comfortable. He makes people open up. So with with this lockdown, he cannot do all this face to face now, and he has to adapt himself to the digital video conferencing, where you may not know the real emotion of the customer, real face, what do you say, gestures of the customers. So there is a challenge there, how to adapt, how to understand, how to move forward. So there will be some challenges faced by many agents. Like even I am a consultant involved in sales. I am also facing a lot of face this problem, because I'm quite comfortable meeting people face to face, looking at their eyes and speaking and then explaining what it is. But now talking to a laptop and putting forward a point, we would not know how it is being received on the other side actually. So it needs adaptation. It needs a bit of time. Of course, it's a matter of time they will do it, but they need to do that one. Next is prospects defer and not keen to buy long-term savings. This is the third point, which means even if they get a lead, till now agents are usually comfortable selling the long-term saving products, which is endowments and investment link, any typical savings product. If you look at any companies, many of the companies' portfolios also, more than 90% of what they sell is actually endowments, actually something related to endowments only, and less than 10%, which is sold by the agent, even less than 5% in many countries, is actually pure protection products. Everywhere it is all bundled with savings. Savings is put as a first, and then the protection will come into picture on the background. It can be a child education benefit or retirement benefit, or it can be any other objective-based selling, normal endowments also. But the protection is a consequential component, is not a primary component there. And the reduced renewal, this is the fourth point, because the regulators in various countries have given mandate to the insurance companies that they should give option to the policy holders who are facing financial strain, that they can defer the premium payment by extended grace periods. So policy holders opting for the extended grace means the renewal commission, which was expected in the current last 2-3 months, also would not have come. So which means the renewal commission would also come down actually. And in many cases, many customers wouldn't have even called and asked for extended grace, and the policy would have automatically gone into lapse, which would have created much more strain. That means the policy itself is lapse, so persistence is also affected actually. Then with all the first 4 points, where we are talking about new business and also the renewals, the overall KPIs in terms of the production, first year premiums, renewal year premiums, and also the persistency would have impacted. So because of which, if the insurance companies usually have the KPI based, the bonus element of it, so this KPI based bonus element is also getting disturbed. So they many agents may not get the KPIs if it is left as it is, as per the original plan. So all these things finally is resulting in the financial strain and uncertainty. So if it's established agent who has got a good book, fine, there are customers who will be paying and they have enough buffer cash to move out. But if it is a younger agent, smaller agent who doesn't have a bigger book, then they will be facing some financial strain and uncertainty. So it's very clear here for the agents that always don't open new doors. So agents need to find out ways to open new doors in new ways, not the old ways. At this point of time, I also want to put one more point, is that there is a new generation, the Gen Z and Gen Y are exactly the opposite of whatever I have spoken till now. Okay, the normal agent is comfortable going meeting people, the normal customers are also comfortable meeting people. But the newer generation, which is Gen Z and Gen Y customers and agents, they are more comfortable with digital than face to face. Okay, there are many of these younger people, they are comfortable to go to any website and put their date of birth, put their IC number, date of birth, name, everything they are able to put down there. But if you go and ask them face to face, they are a bit apprehensive. So there is a shift in the psychology of the consumers also, that they trust digital more than face to face actually. So this also needs to be factored inside. Okay, so I'm not saying it's a generic one, but there are some trends which we can see here where people are comfortable sharing data on social media than to face actually. So let's look at the insurers now. What should the insurers be focusing upon? What should the insurers do? So do we assume that this particular situation will go off and everything will come back to normal as it was before the COVID-19 period, or will it be a totally different new normal? So this is a question which the insurers need to think of and look at it. And if you can see, most of the world's experts, most of the world, even economic forums, world media, everybody, they are looking at it, that the change which is being brought in the world with this COVID-19 appears to be something which will really displace it. The new normal will be different. It is not the old normal. Okay, so you should expect a new normal. So the secret of change is to focus all your energy not in the fighting the old, but to really look at what should be the new normal, how your new normal should look like. You should imagine how your new normal should look like, and really target and spend all your energy towards the new normal than to really working out to bring back to the old normal. So that should be the strategy which the insurance companies need to look at actually. So let's look at the consumer thinking, because insurance companies, if they are looking at the new strategy, first they need to understand the consumer thinking, which is thinking today. So if you look at the typical studies done, so the first priority, the consumer priority, of course, when you say the travel industry, the tourism industry, they have been affected very badly. But insurance, on a different note, many experts are also contemplating that insurance will improve. That means insurance priority on insurance will improve, because most of the people who never thought of financial protection are also thinking of it at this point of time. May not be the savings, the long-term savings and other things, but mainly on the immediate protection. Everybody is assessing whether they have a medical cover or not. Not only their medical cover, they're also thinking of whether the family has got a medical cover or not. Because this COVID-19 doesn't differentiate between children, spouse and all, so it can affect anybody. So this family medical cover is a good proposition at this point of time, because everybody's mind it is going through what happens if my wife gets COVID, what happens if my children get the COVID. So this problem is there. So the first priority of thinking can be the family medical. Second is the hospital excess cover for those of the people who already have group savings, group medical products. So this excess cover of group medical is also one of the options, where whatever are the group policies are not covering, this can be a new products can be designed which can be flexible to fill the gaps, which not only looks at the deductible but also looks at the catastrophic aspects of hospitalization actually. Next priority is for those of the people who are self-employed. The hospital cash, in addition to the hospital surgical, hospital cash will really support them to give a good cushion, which means when they are hospitalized and they can't do their business, they can't generate revenue. So in that case, this particular hospital cash income benefit can help out. And of course, the evergreen products are there, the death and the critical illness, because even in countries like Malaysia, where we have more than 50% penetration rate of insurance, the protection gap is around ringgit 550,000 ringgit is a protection gap per person. Average protection gap is that much, because the average sum assured is less than 100,000. Since the average sum assured is less than 100,000, the protection gap is around 550,000, which is huge, 6 times bigger than the actual protection. So which is quite significant, and which can be addressed at this point of time, because everybody looks at protection as something important there. So we need to open this up. And finally, savings, not the right time at this point of time, but of course, if there is a good value proposition in the product, like there is a good amount of liquidity. For example, if you are coming out with a term plan with a top-up rider, that's all. You're not talking about a regular saving product. You're talking about a term plan with a top-up rider. So where the top-up has got a full liquidity. So only a small allocation rate is taken there. So such sort of products can be attractive because people, if they have excess cash, if they can see that the top proprietors can give some good deals and the market is down at this point of time, and they want to get inside, it's a good thing. It's not a problem actually. So such sort of things can be seen. So we will look at, we have seen the consumer sentiment in the previous slide, what type of products they are expecting. Now we will look at how insurers should respond to help in the agents now. One is product side, we have seen the products, what they need to look at it. And now we will look at how they can directly help the agents. So I put this into 4 parts. First, the insurers need to look at normalizing because there is a turbulence which has been created. So insurers should look at normalizing this as the first step. Then they should have some stimulation measures for the agents to go aggressive. Then acceleration methods. Once the agent's inertia is broken, they should help them in accelerating and getting forward for the new type of new world, how they need to move forward. And finally, the consolidation. Consolidation, of course, is always there, which needs to be done all across, but we'll look at it in 4 parts. So what I've done is these 4 parts I have split up into 7 points. So the first 2 points is related to the normalization aspects of it. The first point we will see is about easing the financial burden. This is the most important thing what the insurers need to do at this point of time, because you should not lose agents at this point of time for non-genuine reasons actually. So you have to look at some analysis to see the monthly income of the agents, the average monthly income of each agents, and how much there is a shortfall there, and communicate with the agents, understand what their pain point is, and is it feasible for you to have a budget to have an automated small loan to pad up for the shortfall in the income so that they can sustain their family and lives there at this point of time. So this is the area where the insurance company need to help out to ensure that you give the option for a minimum income. So if it's a more of a, you need to take it with a pinch of salt, because this is more of a budget issue. That means whether if you have to take it from your capital to give a loan and then recover it during the subsequent period, which has its own risk if the agent leaves actually. So we need to look at it from that perspective. But any approach to help out agent to ensure that he gets minimum income will be appreciated. The second aspect is the KPIs. Because if you see insurance companies, you have your the commission, the compensation budget. You divide it into 2 parts. One is your direct commissions. The other is the KPI based bonus systems, which is a variable one. So the direct one, fine, you are giving it off. Then the KPI based one, since the KPIs are getting disturbed because the playing field has changed in the last few months. The playing field is not the same playing field. It is a totally different playing field now, and there is a disturbance which has been created. So you need to really assess whether you are able to reach this the expected targets and the KPIs. So if you see that there is a huge amount of disturbance, you need to compare with the previous years and the current last few months, and make a call whether to continue with the same KPI targets or to revise the KPIs, or even drop away the KPIs and maximize the direct commission to everybody. So to be fair to all of the people. So these are the things which you can make a call. It can be temporary for a few months, or it can be for the year, whichever way is appropriate. But this is a management decision which needs to be done to ensure that as much as possible, the monthly income needs to increase for the agents. The third aspect of it, what you can see is the third and fourth is we are talking about the stimulation part of it, how we can stimulate the agents. If you look at the agents, most of the agents, they know what is digital, they know what is social, they understand that they need to move towards digital, social to get leads and reinvent themselves as a digital agents. But most of the agents park it for tomorrow. And for some people, it's like a New Year resolution. Okay, they will say this year I will start and I will go on social media, digital, and really spend time and become an expert. Okay, this is what they will be thinking. But as the time goes by, they will go back to their normal self because there is not much of propelling force. So this is the right time where if insurance companies try to come out with some sort of a stimulation budget, which you can say that it can be only reimbursed for any social and digital activities undertaken by the agent. Okay, it can be a personal brand building of agents, what they are doing on digital, like they want to do a personal video, or they want to do a social ads, they want to go and do whatever it is, or learning on social. So whatever they are doing it, anything for digital, if you are having a budget which you will say that you will reimburse it either in full or in part, and if they don't do it, they will lose this particular benefit. So you are forcing them to move into that particular domain actually. So which will really help them to really think of it. So I have a budget, I need to move forward. So then the point number 4 also goes hand in hand now with point number 3, because even if you tell agents that they have to go, many people don't know where to start, where to go, what to do. So this dilemma will be there for many people. Okay, so you really require to establish a digital support cell where you need to hire some one or two digital experts who are mentors there, and also digital assistants who are good at small technical work and all. So if you form this cell as a unit and then use this cell to train agents that this is how they need to start. For example, you're focusing on this particular segment, then you please go to this particular digital channels and try to advertise, try to move forward in this channel. So like this, they can provide some trainings. And if the agent wants support, for example, he doesn't know how to go and put some ads or whatever it is, they can help and using the digital assistants to make it happen. So digital cell is quite important. So it will help in agents handholding. It will give them good ideas, and agent will have good ideas, but they don't know how to execute. The execution aspects can be helped out through this cell. And the agents can have free time because they will not be spending too much time and getting frustrated on how to not know how to move forward actually. Next, the 6th point, number 5 and 6 are related to the acceleration aspects of it, where we are talking about access to capital. Because if you have around 1,000 agents or 2,000 agents, assuming I'm taking, there may be some agents who have really means picked up, they have broken the inertia, they move forward now. So you need to help them move forward more aggressively. So they would require some capital. They want some money to access. So here is the case where you need to think out of the box. You need to think innovative to see how you can provide a capital at their own risk, not at your risk, but at their own risk. You have to provide the capital. So which can be, if you are maintaining any retirement fund of the agents, like pension fund of their agents, try to see if you can open up and give the access to the pension funds. And if you have any budget of agency convention, and if they have already qualified for the convention, option that they can opt away from the convention and use that budget to use it for these things, anything, or it can be a loan. Other one is it's a loan. So whichever way you need to think of it and ensure that to help them in accelerating at this point of time, so that they can establish themselves and they can really move forward, will be really useful. When all these first 5 points are happening, okay, we are talking about, so insurers need to look at it, the 6th one, as a catalyst, you need to ensure that you need to look at providing them new leads on your own. So here the analytics will come into picture greatly. So you should spend your time on analytics of your existing database. You should understand what is working, what is not working, and which segment is behaving how. So all these analytics will be really helpful. I've given some examples here. There can be more ways. When you really get into analytics, a lot of things can be done to generate the leads from your own database. Because as I told before, the protection gap is huge. In any country we see, the protection gap is quite huge, especially in our Southeast Asian and the Middle East countries. May not be much for Singapore, but other countries, definitely there is a huge protection gap, so which needs to be addressed. So when we did a lot of some of the analytics for our existing customers also, we found some very good insights. Like for example, in one of the customers, when we are doing helping them in analysis, we found that 70% of their policy holders are females. And we see that females between 30 and 40 years of age are buying the highest number of endowment policies. Okay, and females between 25 and 30 are buying investment linked policies. Females between 35 to 40 are buying child education policies, highest number of child education policies. And we found that when people buy the second policy, it is mainly for themselves. When people buy the third policy, it is for the children. So these are some of the trends and patterns where we are able to see, which can, when you really do the data mining and analyze the data, you can find some very good insights, and you can say that this particular segment of people are potential for this type of products. You can always identify, and start helping your agents to go and push things up actually. In addition to that, when you are really doing your database data analytics, you may find a lot of orphan policies where the customer has got a good salary, but he has lapsed the policy. Time to go and meet why the agent has resigned and the customer didn't pay the premium and the policy became lapsed and it became an orphan policy. So you can go back and touch the customer and then try to see if you can sell a protection products. If you have a direct digital or walk-in customers, so where your company is the agent now, so why can't you share the leads? Launch campaigns on company level, get the leads and share it among the agents, and also cross-channel partnerships. Because this may be applicable for some, but not be applicable for some companies. But in some companies, you have your direct agents, the retail agents, and you have your corporate sales. So these corporate sales and the direct agents don't interact much. So if you are able to build an interaction where corporate sales are looking at the group cases, and the retail and the same group members can be looked at as a lead with some agreement with HR and other things to the retail actually. So likewise, you can look at a lot of things which can be done. And finally, for all the 6 points to make it happen, you need a foundation. The foundation is you need to have a good CRM in place so that all the leads which are generated from different sources, either by you or by the agents, are recorded at a centralized place. And from there, you know how the leads are moving to prospects, to the illustrations, and then proposals. So it's a complete integrated view if you are having on the front end side. It will provide a good dashboard view for the agents and also good analytics for you also, what is successful, what is not successful, so that you can make your course corrections as you move along. So just summarizing, recapping. So we have talked about 4 points, 4 areas split up into 7 points. So the first 2 points is on the normalizing. There is a turbulence which has been created. So we need to normalize it to ensure that agent gets a good amount of income every month so that they don't drop off at this point of time. So whatever best you can do it at this point of time, you have to think of it and do it. Second is the stimulation. So this is the right time to stimulate the agents to move digital. So you need to push them out. It can be the video conferencing and then the leads, digital media, social media, all these things. So you need to push things up, have a strategy digital, and then push the agents towards it and form the digital support cell. Third is the acceleration part of it. We talked about it. To ensure that during this period you feed enough leads so that they continue when they are learning, and also for those of the people who are established and they want more capital, how can you help them in getting the more capital? And then finally the consolidation phase, ensuring that everything is in one place so that you have a good view of your business progress. And that's it for the recap what we talked about from an insurance perspective. Now we will look at it from agents. So we're shifting from insurance to agent. So till now we talked about how we can take the horse to the water. Now whether the horse will drink the water or not, this is the 3 points what we need to see actually. So agents, it's owners, they are their own entrepreneurs, they are individual people. Okay, so they need to embrace, sustain, embrace, and they need to look at digital as a complement. They need to see digital as a blue ocean, not as something which they need to learn to survive actually. So that is the mindset they need to change here. So we will look at these 3 points, which is split up into 6 action points, what I have put it here now. So the first one is to ensure that they sustain, which is most important for every agent at this point of time, is they should call each and every of their existing customers and check with them, are you safe and good? And then is there any challenges the customer is facing in paying the premiums? And if they want any extended grace or any other options which can be seen. And if all okay, then review the current protection, tell them that these are the new riders, new products which are available there. So why can't you opt for it? A rider can be added immediately. So, or a new product can be purchased, and try to make an upsell and a cross sell quickly, because this is quite easy, straightforward, they can do it. But one thing insurance companies need to keep in mind is that when you are, it's good to give riders so that the existing policy can have a rider and it's simple. But riders should get the first year commission so that it is fair to the agents that they can add up the rider actually. Second is the point number 2, 3, 4 are related to the embracing of changes actually, how they need to embrace. So whatever has happened, now there is no option. It's a good thing for whatever is happening. Take it as a blessing in disguise. And it's good thing that customers are also ready, because most of the people are okay with digital now because of the lockdown. Even if they want to meet their friends and family, since they can't meet their friends and families, they are going on a digital video conferencing and doing it. We can see a lot of family digital conferences which are happening around, okay, where people can't go out and meet face to face. So since people are ready, people are understanding that this is another way of meeting their families. They don't mind meeting the agents over the video calls and other things. So agent needs to capitalize on this. And one good thing about digital is it really saves your time. It really saves your expenses, because there's no travel, traffic, all the traffic challenges, travel, parking cost, and then so many challenges when you're going on a face to face. All these things are removed. And if you're meeting 6 people in a day, 6 prospects if you are doing in a day, it can even be double to 12. And digital doesn't require any time. Even at 11 o'clock in the night, if the customer is comfortable, you can go on call, and you can have a call with the customer. So there is a lot of benefits if you really see from that particular perspective. And second important thing is, usually the agents are local agents. That means if I'm an agent in Kuala Lumpur, I'm an agent in Kuala Lumpur. If I'm an agent in Dhaka, I'm an agent in Dhaka. So likewise, they are local to the particular country, or local to the city. But with digital, they need not be local now. That means they can call cross cities. That means if I know a customer sitting in another city, I can always connect. It doesn't make it has to be from the same city. So that's advantage for this change. But insurers also need to help out in all the digital signatures and digital online submission. Those things need to be helped out here. Next is to generate the leads. They really need to dive into the social media. Social media and digital media is extremely important. So they need to build visibility here. They need to build a personal brand here, and they have to understand that this is it's like a farming process. You need to put your seeds, you need to farm it, and over a period of time you will get a good harvest. So you need to spend your time in this, and with a good strategy, which is the next step, which I already addressed from insurance perspective. Same step I'm putting it here, that they should have a digital mentor and a digital assistant to help out, because they are one man entrepreneurs, or it's a agency unit team where they can't have digital people hired in their team. So they should have a reference in the insurance company or outside to help them out in digital aspects of it. So before we move on further, I was just going around, because in social and digital there are quite a few nuances, and I was just looking at how people are building their brands and how people are interacting. I can just share some examples here. So examples of agent connecting, some people are directly advertising, which means they are taking their company's product advertisement and just cut and pasting into the social media and asking us, if there is anything, please contact me. So this may not get much of attraction. Okay. The second aspect of it is knowledge sharing. So you are trying to connect with good phrases and good sentences here, and you are giving what is it, knowledge sharing. You are giving an ebook. In this case, it's an estate planning agent who does life also. So they are trying to come out with an estate plan, and they're putting it as an ebook and giving it like this actually. So the agents can go and that means the customers can read it, they click it, they download it. May not be all people will go for it, but there will be definitely some segment of it who will be interested. They will be going through it, and it's a good marketing area. Share the knowledge and also provide your leads there. Third one is you are looking at agents who are looking at emotional connect. That means they are not directly talking about insurance, but they are talking about something related actually. So some other story. So in this case, one here you can see an agent. He's my agent actually. So he is taking a bird, and the bird has got 2 small child birds, and it has taken birth, and one bird died. Okay, daily he is tracking. Every day he is posting what happens, and the mummy is very sad. So that's what he's putting. So he's touching emotion there. So stay healthier, stay longer. So connect to me. So he's just connecting it like through this. And of course, contemporary. Corona is a contemporary topic. Using directly to Corona, used to connect. So likewise, there can be lots and lots of ideas if you really get into the social media. You need to look at how to get attention of the customer or the prospect, and how to drag him to the next step, which is the desire part of it. So then you get a lead there from there. So similarly, if you look at the digital, why you need a digital mentor? Because if you leave this to agents on their own and ask them to go digital, they will go forward, and they may not get good benefit for the time spent. They would have spent time and money or whatever. So they may not get the good yield, and they may get frustrated. They may drop off, which is not the right approach. So if you go with the digital mentors, they can get some good guidance. Okay, they can these people can help out. Like I was just looking at it, what is the best time to post on Facebook? I was surprised to see the surprised to see these results, which says that best times to post on Facebook is Wednesday 11 a.m. and 1 to 2 p.m. And worst day to post on Facebook is Sunday. So these are the subtle insights. And if you really go drill down, for example, what type of people, like if you're talking about women, what time they will go and watch the Facebook, or if you're talking about professionals, what time they go on LinkedIn. So there are a lot of statistics which are there, and these things you can't expect agents to go and do the research. So insurance companies need to focus on research of these things, and ensure that they have enough of this capability so that they can give a right advice to the agents, and the agents need not worry about this digital and focus on how to go, means what they need to do, and how to do it. This advice will be given and they can execute it actually. And the next 2 points, the point number 5 and 6, I am touching on the blue ocean aspects of the social media, because unlike the physical media, where you have a limitation, because if you go to a party, you're meeting around 10-20 people, and there is a limitation there actually. But if you're talking about this digital media, the scope is that means that you can expand drastically. Like I'll give you some examples now. Point number 5, collaborating with the peer sales across industry. Because if the current lockdown pandemic has created trouble for insurance sales agents, it has also created trouble for even other industry sales agents also. You have medical professionals, you have other retail mutual funds people, credit card people. There are many people who are getting affected because of this. So now you start building, if you are able to build some relationship with some of the peer agents, they have their own customer base, what you can tap into. Why can't you use that particular base and then get into that particular customer? That means mutual sharing of leads with whatever agreements or arrangements, what you can look at. So the scope can be quite big. So you can look at wealth managers, estate planners, medical sales professionals. I've seen some examples here where good established financial planning firms and estate management firms have come together. They have conducted mutual webinars for their clients. Okay, that means calling all their clients through their contacts and then conducting a webinar and providing a holistic solution, not only the overall financial planning and also, but also the estate planning, will writing, everything together is put into one place actually. Similarly, we're talking about the next step where the influencing professionals. This if they're able to do it, it will be really good. But this requires a lot of study by them, a lot of brand building by them. If they're able to get the trust of the professionals, if they're able to get into the professional groups with their skills and knowledge, it can really help them open up in a bigger way, because influencers are more powerful. Like if you're able to get doctors, if you're able to get chartered accountants, if a chartered accountants are, you are able to come out with propositions which can look at it holistically. So these, and also cooperatives. Okay, every country has got cooperatives. It can be seen, and associations like clubs and associations, and HR of companies where HR has got influence on the employees. So likewise, the scope is quite big. Only thing is they need to think what type of group, what product, what proposition they want to have it, and who's the professional, who's the influencing person there, and try to get build a rapport with that, and they'll be able to move forward. So to recap, I will put the 6 points here for agents, which is the first point is related to sustaining, where they need to take care of existing agents, and they need to embrace the change, which is the 3 points, where the 2 and 3 are embracing, and 4th one is helping them to embrace. And point number 5 and 6 is the blue ocean aspects of the social media. Once they get comfortable, they understand the nuances, they really need to go and start building their brands and work and improve their knowledge and get into the influencing groups, and also work with the peers actually of other industries. So with this, how we can assist end to end, right? We can provide from pointed lead generation solutions. We can help you out through the social media, or we can provide a complete CRM solution for your lead, prospect, and the whole cycle of sales. and we can provide illustrations, sales illustrations, online submissions, e-submissions of proposal, automatic underwriting, and then we are talking about document submission, e-document submission, and integrating digital signatures with third parties where whatever is applicable, integrating with the payment gateways, and also help in targeted campaigns. We can help you in that, and also providing mobile apps. We can also provide mobile apps so that agent gets unified view of everything, because we are talking about many things here. So if agents get unified view, it can help out. So it will give mobile apps, and also the chatbots and live chat. This is another area which is evolving, because every time you have a issue, you need to take a phone and call is not an advised. So when I'm talking to my customer, if I've got a doubt, I can just fire a question into the chat bot, and if the bot has got a ready reply, it will give a ready reply. If the bot doesn't have a ready reply, it will direct to the person behind for a live chat, so your skilled employee can look at it and give a appropriate reply for that. So in all these 6 ways, which is end to end for the whole agency, we can provide a solution. It depends on where your requirement or where your need is. So we can help you identify missing your gaps, if anything, and you can contact our representative, and we can plan to implement that. I think with that, I will hand over to Bala to have any question.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mohan, for all the wonderful insights. And so far, no questions on the chat. If there's any questions, just feel free to drop it on the chat. But otherwise, any parting words, Mr. Mohan?
I think we really thank you for attending, spending your time on attending this seminar. And even if you have any questions as you think later, you please feel free to drop by. I've shared my LinkedIn profile there. I've shared my email there, and so you can share the questions. And also feedback also is appreciated. Any feedback, please, we welcome it. This is the first time we are conducting a webinar. We are also learning from it. So if there's any feedback, we really appreciate it. I think Bala will be sharing a small feedback mail. It would be really helpful if you can fill the feedback mail and send across. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mohan, for bringing that up there. So yes, there will be a feedback email. Plus, as already assured, I'll be sending across the link to the video of this whole webinar so that you can always use it for future reference. And again, thank you, Mr. Mohan, for taking our time, and thank you, everyone, for taking our time.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you very much. Have a good day.